Welcome back to Podcast Rockstars, the show that helps business leaders become podcasting legends. I'm your host, Dawn Lidwell, and in this episode, I'm sharing a few creative strategies you can use to find new guests for your podcast.
You're listening to Podcast Rockstars, the show helping business leaders become podcast legends. Now, here's your host, Dawn Lidwell.
Hey there, Rockstar. One of the biggest challenges many podcasters face is finding new and interesting guests to interview on their show. When you first sit down and plan your content strategy, you are probably flooded with dozens of ideas for potential guests that you could introduce to your audience, especially if you have a large network. But what if your professional network isn't very big? What do you do after you've interviewed everyone in your network who can bring value and insight to your audience? Today, I want to share a few creative strategies you can use to find new guests for your show. First one is to ask your clients or customers. Sometimes it makes sense to feature your clients or customers as an expert guest on your show. This works exceptionally well for coaches and consultants. It's not uncommon for people to want to get an idea of who you are and what they can expect from your coaching services before investing hundreds or thousands of dollars. The second one is to connect with other podcasters within your industry or niche. Have you ever listened to another podcast in your industry and thought, man, I'd love to have that host on my show? What about a guest you heard on a podcast that you would love to connect with and interview? One of the things I love most about the podcasting industry is how truly helpful podcasters are towards other podcasters. And that help doesn't stop at simply answering a question about a tech issue or whether they should use Facebook ads or Instagram ads to promote their episodes. Podcasters love connecting with other podcasters. So why not reach out and invite them to be on your show? Listening to podcasts within your industry not only helps you gain new perspectives on things happening within the industry, it's also a great way to find new guests. While we're discussing industry-related things, how about asking some of the interesting people you meet at conferences and events? If you're not already attending industry conferences, you're missing out on a great opportunity to connect with other professionals in your field. And attending these events can be so beneficial to your business and your podcast. Not only can you learn about the new innovations and interesting concepts, but it's also a great way to expand your professional network. So why not invite some of those people that you met at last year's industry conference to be a guest on your show? If you're still struggling to find guests for your show, why not ask your loyal listeners? Asking your listeners who they would like to hear on your show is a great way to make them feel like they're part of the show and encourage engagement. It's also a great way to get an idea of the type of guests that they want, making things a little bit easier for you. So there you have it, 4 easy ways to find great guests for your podcast. For more fun ideas on how you can find amazing new guests for your show, head on over to our podcast page at lidwellwriting.com/podcast, where you'll find a link to our blog post with 10 free ways to find great guests for your podcast, as well as a link to download a whopping list of 27 ways to find guests for your show.
Thanks for tuning in to Podcast Rockstars, sponsored by Lidwell Writing Services, because a great podcast deserves great show notes. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and leave us a review, and remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Join our exclusive Podcast Rockstars Facebook community to connect with other podcasting legends. In the Facebook community, you can ask your most pressing questions and tell us who you would love to hear on the show. And if you're ready to experience the power of great show notes, contact Dawn at lidwellwriting.com.